accuse him.
Yeah, you know, he's in very safe hands with the people he's with right now. But I mean, one day we'll have him here, and then maybe, who knows, once we have him there, we might just see an article of him on Kondwani Banda's page. It's out, by the way. I don't know if you've come across that.
Yes, I have.
Facebook commentator, Kondwani Banda. I think it's also shaped a lot of conversations today. Yeah. He was on the front page of the Newsdiggers newspaper as of this morning. This was his latest update, reporting live from Yakaipa Lodge. Can we all gather here? I don't know if you've been to this place, Andrew, once.
Not just yet. I'm hoping to be there. I don't know what goes on there, but what I know is that it was burnt down some 2 years ago in Mumbwa, so I don't know if this place still exists, like Yakaipa Lodge.
So just a bit of some context. So the person here in question is somebody who creates a lot of stories around people. I guess he gets fed information by certain individuals. Sometimes they could be factual, sometimes they're false. Some people have come out and said they're false. And that's why some people celebrated when they heard that he was arrested and so on. But more recent updates are that he's been released and clearly is out there.
Obviously, probably the offense that he committed is not that of a big offense that doesn't allow for him to get bail, and so obviously he's on bail, and yeah, he will have his time in court. What I saw was that he was arrested in Kenya. I don't know how true that is, and he was reported by a certain gentleman. Yeah, he was reported. Remind me the name of the gentleman.
I think Jared, if I'm not saying. Yeah. Jared. Yeah, Jared should be his name. Others feel that he misled so many people because so many people got excited. Some celebrities were very happy about the arrest of Kondwani, only to be told eventually that he's been released.
But people should expect that people must be released on bail
on bond
if the offense they've committed is bondable. Yeah, and so I don't think people should. He was bold enough to be able to trick him, into believing, on whatever he had to communicate with him, and then eventually he ended up being arrested. And so people should give credit to the gentleman.
Well, that's if he really went that far, because now people are beginning to doubt and they're questioning whether or not he really meant what he said or really did what he claimed he did, because people feel, those who were very happy and excited about it now feel left down. They're now, the tables have sort of now been turned against him, where people are now saying that he lied to people, he misled people, and so much has been said around him. So there's really a lot going on regarding the two. But that's for those who follow what's been going on the online space, particularly on Facebook.
Let's begin the show today in a snap. Breaking news story as of tonight is that the Lusaka High Court has ordered the forfeiture of 79 motor vehicles and 23 properties, including a filling station and a double-story luxury apartment, which were allegedly gifted by former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu to his son, Dalitso Lungu. The court ruled that the assets in question are a process of crime, paving the way for their seizure by the state. In its determination, the court held that the properties could not be legitimately accounted for based on the non-lawful income of the parties involved. As a result, the assets have been forfeited under laws governing the recovery of proceeds of crime. The forfeiture follows investigations by law enforcement agencies into the suspected illicit enrichment involving assets accumulated during Mr. Lungu's time in public office. The state had argued that the properties were acquired through unexplained means and were subsequently transferred to Mr. Lungu's son in an effort to conceal their origin. That is a breaking news story for tonight. Chumaka.
Well, we have another family member of the former Republican President Edgar Lungu going through this. We've seen it happen to his
Lungu.
His now widow, Esther Lungu. We've seen it happen to his daughter, Tasira Lungu. Both of them getting to appeal. We've also gotten to see this happen. We've got it to see happen with another one of his daughters, Dalitso Lungu. And we even heard eventually from the law enforcement agencies that some of the property they got through this particular court outcome would be turned into a rehabilitation center. The Drug Enforcement Commission coming out on that. And now we've seen Dalitso Lungu joining his family members in as far as this is concerned. As you'd anticipate, we've got different sides of this whole conversation. You have those who feel that this is politically motivated, others arguing that the former president is still being persecuted. Even in his death, he continues to be persecuted. But you also have a good number of people who are making reference to what the law states. Others who are even shocked by what has been forfeited here. We're talking about 79 motor vehicles. I was seeing someone who's been saying that you could drive a different car for about 2 months and 19 days. For 2 months and 19 days. For 2 months and 19 days. You're driving a different motor vehicle. And every day you wake up, you drive this one. Tomorrow, for 2 months and 19 days, Andrew Wanza, I can be seeing you in a different vehicle. Totally different vehicle. In 23 properties as well. So this has appalled quite a number of people.
Including the filling station.
Double-story luxury apartments.
But, you know, I don't know.
I don't know if you've been to any of these apartments.
No, I have not been to these apartments. What would I do there?
But this is what we have here.
But I think for me, there's a lot of questions. Others from a different school of thought argue that, well, he was son to the former president, and so the president would afford, you know, this is not a wow, you know what I mean? This is not something to worry about. This is something that the former president could afford, owing to the fact that he held the highest position in the country. It's the same thing with the properties belonging to, the flats belonging to Madam Esther Lungu. I think the arguments that, look, this is a wife of the former president, and so you don't, you know, the former president held the highest office in the land, and so you'd expect that he would manage to buy for the wife such property. The explanation that the Lungu family have been given in court, even Dalitso Lungu and Dalitso Lungu, is that, look, these properties that we have were gifted to us by our father. And what the court found was that they failed to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these properties were not as a result of process of crime. And so, obviously the rigmarole of the court is so difficult for you to sometimes get out of if there's no paper trail on how property was transferred to your name, or if I'm the one who, you know, transferred property to you, Chimweka, I'll have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that I could manage to afford that property that I've transferred to you. In this case, obviously President Lungu couldn't stand before court and defend, you know, these properties because of his state. It then makes the case even much more difficult, especially now that in his death, it makes it made this this case much more difficult. So I don't know, you know, where the courts have already given, you know, their judgment that, look, these were process of crime, and that's what we must follow. Obviously, the Lungu family have their own case to drive, but the properties are no longer in his name. I know for a fact that the 79 motor vehicles that you're talking about, Dalitso Lungu had a car hiring company that all these motor vehicles were parked at, and now they belong to the state. Obviously, his business is now taken away from him.
And that's another aspect of all of this, and why others still see it as persecution and feel that all this has been done unfairly or was targeted towards his family. And we even heard former President Edgar Lungu, while he's still alive, mention this. He says, look, we know, I know what you're going for. It's me you're looking for. And if you want, strip me of my immunity. He said those words while he was alive, because he felt that this was targeted towards him, that it was him they're looking for and not his family, and his family was just being used in the whole of this. And we've seen those comments, those sentiments continue to this day, where you have some members of the opposition who put out that particular argument. And others are seeing it as this whole situation could even make it worse in the family, the Lungu family, and the current government reaching a consensus in as far as the burial of the former president is concerned, because we still have people, many well-meaning Zambians, who are hoping that the two sides, the two parties, will be able to meet and agree on the way forward regarding the burial of the former president. But we've heard how the family has felt that they've not been treated fairly, they've been persecuted, and it's through these particular outcomes as well that they probably feel that the government, the state, is involved in manipulating, or all this is politically motivated, leading to where they're at today. Whether or not Mr. Dalitso Lungu is going to appeal, like some of the other members of the Lungu family have, is yet to be seen. We know that he's one to keep a very low profile. We'd see him going, to court in a mask, even past the COVID-19 times. So we can see that he's been trying to keep...
Asked by others as to which political party you are seen on our outfit. So here's our challenge. Pick out any picture of us since we joined civil service in any outfit you feel is political party regalia, and point out the name of the political party that you see on the so-called political party regalia. If you manage to show the political party, we shall pay 10,000 kwacha cash on the spot. I don't know how he's going to pay this because he's in Dubai. And give you the privilege to escort us to cabinet office to hand in our resignation from civil service. Otherwise, if it's just the image of the president on the hoodie, that disturbs your feelings because you are hating up to now that President H8 is president. Hiumwana, Pantu, 2031, Tele Loyo.
But how did he get to 2031? I thought he's got a 5-year mandate. I thought his tenure is 5 years. Has he already predicted the outcome for
do you want
2026?
Are you looking for 10,000 kwacha?
I mean, I wouldn't mind a 10,000 kwacha from Mr. Tabakawana. And he says escorting him to cabinet office to hand in his resignation. Mm-hmm. I hope the fuel allocation will be separate from that 10,000 kwacha. I hope I don't have to dig into the 10,000 to put my fuel there. But I mean, he raises an interesting point. Where is the political party regalia? Because I mean, look, if you work for the government, you work for the civil service, you have to definitely do the work that is policy that is set by the executive headed by the Republican president, President Hakainde Hichilema. And it's nothing strange to have a picture of the Republican president. In fact, you're obliged to have a picture of the Republican president at every institution. Yeah, it's a must. You have to have it, and even more so if you're going to be at government institutions. It's nothing strange to hear a civil servant, more so a permanent secretary appointed by the same Republican president, to make reference to the Republican president and say this is what the president wants and wants to do. So him moving around with that particular picture, I guess, is playing around that particular fact. But I think the biggest issue or question for some people is some of these terminologies, Kwenu, which have been very politically affiliated. But he makes reference to some of the Kwenus, the ticks that the UPND have also been advocating and taking pride in.
Well, I think the biggest lesson here is that if you're a civil servant, you're holding one of the highest positions at any ministry, you're a CEO of the ministry, you are expected to be apolitical. You are politically neutral because you serve the interest of the general public. The general public in this regard is me and you. You serve the interest of the opposition. You serve the interest of generally anyone. And so you want to be careful not to be seen to be aligning yourself to anything. All right? You don't want to be seen aligning yourself to anything, because that is the terms and conditions of
But can you avoid aligning yourself to
So
to the ruling government.
So obviously yours is to speak into the mandate of your job. The mandate of your job is to give information, and
which you can argue he's been doing.
Yes. And I'm just speaking generally on the roles of the permanent secretary. And when people begin to question why you putting on an outfit that they've delivered, and they're using the term Kwenyu as part of what they are said. And so obviously the biggest, if Kwenyu wasn't there, trust me, no one was going to say anything, because that is the biggest issue that people are making reference to.
But you see, Andrew, it can be played around. Just for example, how people play around the word Bali.
Yeah,
these are terminologies that existed even before. But it's just that, yes, they got entangled politically. But they've been words that have existed for a long time.
But also, I think for me,
even before they got politically contaminated.
If Secretary of the Cabinet hasn't said anything about Mr. Tawa Kawana's outfit, then I think there's nothing wrong. Because he could have cautioned Mr. Tawa Kawana if there was anything wrong with that, this, because he's been wearing this for a long time. The Secretary of the Cabinet has been quiet, not knowing if he's scared of Tabo, but I don't think he's scared of Tabo. I think he just sees nothing wrong, because if he did see anything wrong, he would have cautioned Mr. Kawana. But Mr. Kawana continues to wear this, even in his office, he wears this hoodie. He likes it a lot. It says that he's got so many. He changes.
Oh, so many. It's not the same one.
No, it's not the same one. He has got so many.
Got so many. But we've heard Secretary of the Cabinet he's issued these statements before. He's warned government officials, permanent secretaries among them to be very cautious about it. He's been on record having done it. But again, this should be a headache again for the Secretary to the Cabinet, for being honest. And it's a headache that gets to be caused by the Republican presidents. And I say Republican presidents, not just in reference to President Ijilema, but even his predecessor. These are some concerns that also came through under his administration. Because the appointment of a permanent secretary gets to be done by the the presidency, of course. They have a discussion. But people like Mr. Kawana was clearly a politician prior to his appointment. And we've seen it happen under this particular government. We have permanent secretaries that were clearly politicians under the UPND or under the UPND alliance. And they've been given those appointments. These are technocrat roles. These are people in the civil service. When you've also had people within these different ministries that have been working in different positions, director and so on, one would think there's going to be a certain ascendance into the highest office within that particular ministry at technocrat level, which is the controlling officer, the PS level. You'd think that would be how things will go. But we've seen these appointments that have been made on a political note. And even if he had to do that, or people aligning him politically, you can't blame people, because he's been known to be a politician. He's been known to be a politician who got appointed into the civil service. So when people complain about that, I don't think people really expected anything different. I don't think people expected anything different, and I don't know if even those who are superior to him expected anything different. I don't know if President Ijilema expected anything different to happen, or secretary to the cabinet. It must be some tough books for him, because I mean, these are people appointed by the Republican president, and he has to oversee all of that. But I think it says a lot about even just how some of these appointments get to be made when you appoint politicians into some of these technocrat positions. But the biggest argument is he able to still deliver in his role as PS? Is he getting the job done in disseminating information, reaching out to people? I think a lot of people would agree that he has been doing his part, interacting with the media. He has been doing his part in as far as that is concerned. But this still probably remains as one of the challenges that those who don't agree with all of this have to say.
And well, it's a free 10,000 kwacha for you in the month of love. And so if you can prove, on the spot, if you can prove that Mr. Kawana is wearing a political party regalia, then prove to him on his page. You can comment on his Facebook page, and he's going to give you the 10,000 kwacha. But moving on, the biggest news story of the day is the fact that our president, the Republican president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, today was delivering a keynote speech at the mine in Indaba in South Africa. in Cape Town. During this speech, he did reaffirm Zambia's target of reaching 1 million metric tons of copper production in 2026, building on a record of 890,000 metric tons in 2025. The president emphasized that gold exports should secure communities and ensure revenues flow into the treasury, funding national development. Zambia is open for responsible mining that delivers production growth, safety, transparency, and economic returns. These were the words of the president today as he spoke at the Investing in Africa Mining Indaba happening in Cape Town.
The programs and ask the IMF to support us in our programs. And this president never shied away from the risk of being unpopular with the voters when we said this is the Zambia program with the IMF. But the truth is that we've been able to get the mines to pay more into the treasury. The finance minister is there. The single largest taxpayer in our country is a mine called First Quantum. And through that, we are able to support our programs, investing in education.
Officially opening the conference, South Africa's Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Gwede Mantashe.
Well, that is the Republican president on Africa's biggest mining platform.
Quite an interesting points that he raised there, and I mean, it would just be interesting to see how exactly all this will be implemented. Some of the plans, for example, the 1 million metric tons target for the year 2026. There was a similar target last year, fell short of it. 890,000 metric tons was what was attained. So it'll be interesting to see also what will be done differently this year that was not done last year. But still, there was commendation that was given to the government in achieving that, despite all the challenges, especially within the energy sector and many others. But looking at where we're at in 2026, we hope definitely for the best for the mining sector. He spoke about $12 billion going into the investment within the mining sector in the last 4 years as well, which has been a point of notice, revitalizing the mines and increasing copper output, which has also contributed to our foreign exchange. We've seen recent information of the kwacha being the best performing currency, and so on, and a lot of it still being attributed towards the mining sector. Recently, we saw copper prices, getting to a high, and that also playing a role. So all of that turns towards the mining sector, and him making reference to his address in 2022 and where they're at now. He spoke towards significant progress within the mining sector, but the big question still for many Zambians is how this directly impacts them, and especially for Zambians who work beyond the mining sector, beyond the mining sector. How does the wider economy get to benefit from all of this? Still remains a big question for many Zambians.
That's true. Contributes 10% to our gross domestic product. Is our main exchange, foreign exchange earner, as well as 70% of our exports come from copper production. We're going to take a break. When we're back, the Council of Elders are projecting change of government this August. Are they truly on firm ground with their projections, or perhaps they're daydreaming? The Council of Elders member, Akashambatwa Lewanika Mbikusita, who is a veteran politician, joins us after this. Staying with us, government has called on groups that offer guidance or commentary on national issues to remain impartial and promote national unity rather than division. Government says it is aware of a grouping calling itself the Council of Elders, which is planning to hold an opposition Indaba. Government has also noted that such engagements should be balanced by involving both the ruling party and the opposition, emphasizing that elders are traditionally expected to bring people together. Government further stressed that freedoms of speech and assembly must be exercised responsibly and for constructive purposes without damaging the reputation of others. Meanwhile, a veteran politician, Bikusita Lewanika, who is also part of the Council of Elders, has projected a change of government after the forthcoming general election, which he says will usher in a fourth republic through a new constitutional order aimed at addressing Zambia's current economic challenges. He joins us tonight on this edition of Diamond Live. Prince Aka, good evening. Thank you so much for making the time to be a part of Diamond Life.
Good evening. It's a privilege. It's a great opportunity. I welcome it.
Government has accused you, the Council of Elders, of leaning towards the opposition. Is this a true reflection of what is happening here?
Your statement, you said that people should be neutral. Let me put it this way, that maybe for people to understand. There are two terms, non-partisan, non-alignment. Non-partisanship and non-alignment does not mean neutrality between right and wrong, or neutrality between justice and injustice. It does not mean that you cannot give an opinion. When our policy in most African countries was non-aligned, there was also a phrase that there is positive non-alignment. In other words, not just passive, that things are going wrong and you fold your hands because you are non-aligned. Or in the same way, being non-partisan does not mean being opinionless over national issues. And citizens having different opinions should be normalized. And you can't dictate other people's opinions. I don't want to point to anybody to say he should have the same opinion as me. And that if he doesn't have the same opinion as me, I'm duty-bound to tell him that you should share my opinion. Forget your own opinion.
But the argument here is that elders are traditionally expected to bring people
My dear, parents
together.
beat up their children. If two children are playing rough and you want them to play right, it does not mean that you are not a good parent if you decide to say one of them is wrong.
What is the agenda of this Council of Elders? Is it to oust the UPND government?
The agenda, the council, first and foremost, this name Council of Elders was just what we were called, some of us. It's not, we don't claim it. There are other elders, there are other councils, and everybody is free to do that. We were called upon by some people who felt that they themselves, as political parties, left to themselves, may not be able to unite in the light of the next election. So that is, the agenda is to say that there are those, among whom I'm included, who have for many years demanded democratic change and change of the system of the economy. And there are many of us who have taken that opinion. When the independence struggle came, it's because many people thought there should be change in the governance of the country.
Do you feel that there needs to be change this coming election? Do you feel that there must be change in this coming election? The UPND must go?
No, you are the one saying that.
I'm asking you.
I believe that Zambia has a long-standing need to change the governance system to a more democratic system. In particular, to change from a system of leadership which is overly personalized leadership, overly centralized governance, overly single-party dominated governance structures, which takes away other people's space in the democratic space.
Is this what you feel?
In other words, this agenda is not for today. This is the same agenda why in 1990 we went to Garden to demand the end of personalized leadership, the end of single-party dominance.
Do you think there's personalized leadership today?
Yes, absolutely.
Which must end?
Which must end.
So ultimately, you feel that the UPND government needs to be...
No.
Because you just say that they have this
Skia. You are very UPND focused. I am saying Africa deserves a governance system in which there is no personalized leadership, in which there is no single party dominance, which overreaches to the extent of undermining the overseer responsibility of parliament, which undermines the independence of the judiciary. And this has been the same position we went to Garden with. And when my own party, MMD, veered towards these same wrongs, I stood against them.
Okay, let's look at the way forward. So what action can Zambians take, especially when in election year? What can Zambians do to ensure that we have this ideal system that you speak of?
First of all, they have to do what they believe in. So those who believe that there must be change, there is a process for effecting that change that our fathers fought for. As you know, when the Northern East African Congress was founded, one of its slogans was one man, one vote. The other one was leadership through teamwork. So basically, we are doing nothing but restoring that. In other words, the 13th of August 2026 is an opportunity for people who want change to vote for change.
What is your recommendation? What would your recommendation be?
To vote for change.
To vote for change.
To vote for people who do not believe or practice single-party dominance. To vote for people who do not believe in personalized governance. To vote for people who are determined to do what Zambia has been trying to do since independence, to have a constitution
do you think that
has no winners, no losers, that is accepted, that is non-controversial.
Do you think the UPND fits in the shoes of those things you've mentioned?
Which shoes?
The shoes of persons who...
Personalized leadership that you speak of?
Yes, I do.
So essentially it gets back to the earlier question that he asked.
But so did UNIP in its time. So it gets back to the colonial government.
So essentially...
So it's not fixed. In other words, it doesn't matter if you start another party which behaves or rules in this way. I will oppose it. And I've always done that.
The same way opposing the leadership under the UPND now.
The same way I oppose the one-party state.
Which is the same way opposing the current leadership.
When we changed to a multi-party democracy, in terms of the constitution, we first only changed one clause, which allowed us to regain our right to form parties. The rest of the constitution was the same one-party state. And all the constitutional changes but one since then have led to further personalization of leadership, further monopolization of power by a ruling party, further crowding out of democratic space.
You're a moral voice and a moral authority in our system in this country. Don't you think you calling government and everyone who is interested in politics, the opposition political parties, bring them together and speak the wisdom that you're speaking now, don't you think that is an effective way of changing systems?
Yes, it is.
Why haven't you done so then?
I'm calling, even now, I'm calling for everybody who wants to end personalized leadership, who wants to end sole party dominance, to get together if they wish, if they want, if they can, because that gives us the best chance to bring about change.
But have you made any efforts to directly reach out to, especially those from the ruling party?
I'm reaching out right now to anybody, whether you are UPND, whether you are President Hichilema, if you believe in democratizing this country. Let's join hands.
Away from the media, because they also have established channels to reach out to them.
Which are those?
Whether it's at State House, or it's writing to the State House, or through the party. But by now, I'm sure you know some of these established channels. You can still reach out to those in government today, and they'll probably be expecting that as well.
So you are suggesting that we can only talk to government secretly?
No, it doesn't mean secret.
Yes.
That's up to you. That's up to you. But what we're talking about is you formally reaching out.
That is the right word. It's up to me. You can't tell me how to express my opinions, and I'm not going to ask anybody or demand from anybody to express their opinion the way I want.
The concern is if you have a genuine concern and you want to create engagement, the concern that's coming through even from the Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary is that you perhaps could have made this formalized through the established channels to formally reach out to them for engagement.
They're inviting me to write them a letter.
Why haven't you taken time to explore that option? If that's one of the ways to create engagement.
The method I choose are mine. I'm free. I'm not a prisoner. I refuse my freedom to be dictated to. I'm prepared to die for my freedom. So, I mean, it's okay. It's their opinion, and I've heard it.
To have taken a very unpopular opinion.
Unpopular to whom?
Unpopular to, in the current dispensation, to some people.
Yes.
That you are championing the cause of those that want to unseat a government.
Why this seat of government is a Zambian seat? There's no person whose seat it is. It is ours. We are free to vote people in and vote them out. This possessiveness of a public office is part of the problem. Being voted out and voted in according to the votes of the people is the right thing to do.
But then the other aspect is, it's one thing to call for regime change, and it's another thing
Let me
finish my question.
Because that is your way.
So
I've not called for regime change.
It's because you have clearly stated that the current leadership has characteristics of what you don't feel is create an ideal democracy. That's what you've communicated to us. So,
but it's not the only one in the history of Zambia.
But they're the ones currently leading this country. The UPND government is currently the government of the day. So what you're essentially calling for is for people to make that change, because you do not agree with the current
You want us
leadership.
to have an election where nobody has a right to vote a government out?
We've understood that part.
Is that what you are saying?
That's not what we're saying.
Do we have a right to vote a government out?
So now here's the other question. So it's one thing to call for a change in the regime, and it's another thing to call for the change in the leadership from the same regime. So the concern that's also coming through is the aspect of engagement.
Anyway,
don't you think we'll be able to?
They are lucky to have your protection. I don't have a duty to protect them.
The question
from the votes of Zambia.
The question here is, don't you think that with engagement with the current government, you'll be able to see change in the leadership style that you aspire Zambia to have?
Who said I have not engaged them?
Well, clearly, from the Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary,
have they engaged me?
Unless the information we're getting from him is wrong.
Have they engaged me?
From his statement, it's clear to say that you've not had direct engagement with the government.
I mean, any engagement, any relationship is a two-way process.
But you've not had engagement with them to discuss your concerns and your issues.
My concerns are my concerns.
Yes, but the question is, you've not had that direct engagement with them. So how then do you advocate for that leadership change?
I don't have the right not to engage them.
Well, clearly you're advocating for this change. So don't you think that you need that engagement?
I do have a right to choose to engage or not to engage.
So have you chosen not to engage?
I've chosen to engage with those I've chosen to engage.
And
I can't engage everybody.
With those who don't want
I
to.
can't engage everybody.
The Council of Elders can't engage everybody.
No, I hope you don't think that I'm monopolizing the status of being an elder or the status of having a council. There could be a million of councils of elders. I'm sure there are millions of elders. We are not saying we are the only elders. So the other elders can do what they are called to do or what they feel like doing.
In this moment, when we speak of the Council of Elders, what comes to mind is you.
Why?
Well, because that is
because you only invited me.
because
no, I'm not the only. Okay, let me announce today a big secret that I'm not the only elder person in Zambia, and I don't belong to the only council of elders in Zambia. And I don't claim to be.
2 days ago, I was having an interview with the minister responsible for trade, commerce, and industry, Honorable Chipoka Mlenga, who was speaking about the Council of Elders. He described you as a missed call, a missed opportunity.
Why does that bother him?
Earlier in the week, the Minister of Information and Media, Comrade Cornelius Mwetwa, also described you as...
Why does it bother them?
It bothers them because the expectation is that you are taken aside.
Their expectations. That's their expectation.
They're a government, which means they're speaking.
Oh, so the government, because you are a government, your expectation should override everybody else's expectation.
What is broken in this country that you feel needs to be fixed?
How many times do I have to repeat it? We have failed to have a constitution that is non-controversial. We have failed to have a governance system which is not one-man-centered. We have failed to have a governance system in which the ruling party does not practically own the government.
The reason I ask that question is very simple, because when we open the phone lines, the things that people care about the most are issues of bread and butter.
So, have I stopped them from caring about bread and butter?
Let me finish my question. Not many speak about the Constitution. So most of them will just say, we want the UPND out because things are expensive. And that's why I asked you.
So you also want me to only have opinions that others have?
That's not what I'm saying. And that's why I asked the question, what has fundamentally broken that needs to be fixed?
In this country, everybody should be free to have their opinion.
So let's talk about
and to have their consent.
Let's talk about this agenda, because when the first time this came about, it came more or less like a secret until...
A secret?
Yeah.
To whom?
Until now, people began to reveal that, no, we're the Council of Leaders at the Kapingila, and the people that were present were Mama Chifa Sakunda, Prince Aka, and all these eminent people, in our country. What is the next stage from here as a Council of Elders? Also, do you think what you're pushing for is being achieved? You're pushing for national unity, for these political parties to come together, unless I'm wrong.
Even when you form a political party, you invite people to join it. So there's unity at various levels. And people having formed parties, if they seek to have a cross-party working together, that is within their rights.
So in regards to you calling these, because what we're hearing is that you're calling these opposition political parties.
No, I don't even like the word opposition.
Are you calling
You've interviewed me many times, and I've told you I don't believe in opposition.
You believe in revolution.
I believe that people stand for something. I stand for a democracy which there is no personalized leadership.
So my question again...
And in other words, there may be political parties which are not the ruling party, which are not opposed to what I'm opposed.
So, again, my question, hear me correctly. Are you calling for these political parties to come together? Is that what you're calling for?
In fact, let me say that at the beginning, I was approached by some leaders of political parties to counsel them. and I was invited by some senior citizens to join them in counseling those who were willing to be counseled. And they expressed themselves. Many of them expressed the desire to see how far they can go in uniting and having a common electoral pact, having a common agenda, a common minimum program to reset Zambia in terms of governance, in terms of economic system, in terms of addressing several, in fact, many long-standing problems that have not been resolved, some of them since independence.
If you were to be engaged by the ruling party to also give your counsel,
I would accept.
You would accept.
Yes.
And what is?
I've never failed to answer a telephone call from the president.
Does he call?
I will never fail to answer an invitation to meet him.
Has he ever called you?
Yes.
This year?
No, not this year.
Last year.
But what is your conversation about? Was it around governance, or did you have a personal conversation?
It was a love talk.
A love talk. A love talk, you say?
Well, in fact, one of the times he called me was many years ago, during the controversy over what was called Bill 10. And we discussed Bill 10. And
so this was before you was Republican president?
Yes, and agreed that selective changing of constitution is bad. We should oppose it. And I told him, maybe he didn't quite agree with me how far I was. I told him that my problem is more than just Bill 10. My problem is the need to investigate. Where does Parliament get power? How did Parliament get power to be able to change the Constitution? And as you know, I've been on this platform before, I've discussed this issue before, that it starts in 1969 when the referendum clause was removed in what I think was a deceitful, referendum. And as a result of a yes vote to that referendum, the rights of people of Zambia over their constitution, which was removed and taken to Parliament. The rights in the original independence dispensation, there was a referendum clause which said that any change in the constitution must be put before all the people through a national referendum. That was changed in 1969. So I've always argued that that was the beginning of our problems, because we transferred power from the hands of the people as a whole to the hands of people in Parliament, a Parliament that has never been non-partisan, a Parliament that has been controlled by the executive, and a Parliament that has chosen since then to selectively change the Constitution, usually in favor of some and against others.
You mentioned that you
but I hope you have understood that.
We get your point.
Okay. So that is the beginning
of the problems that where we are at today.
Asking me what we are talking about. So that is what we talked about.
You said you would be open to that phone call and discussion.
Open.
If you had to meet with the president today and members of his cabinet, what advice would you give them? What counsel would you give them?
It depends why they would have called me to a meeting. I mean,
if they called you and say,
that time he called me on a bill. If he calls me on another subject, we'll discuss other subjects.
On issues of governance, because it's an election year. They, just like members of the opposition, which I know you don't agree with that particular term, are looking at succeeding in August 2026. What would you say needs to be done differently now? What are direct issues?
I would never advise anybody over an advice they have not asked for.
Well, it's
depending on what they ask me for.
But
if they ask me that how do you get to Mungu best, then we'll discuss
if they ask
that.
you what can we do to guarantee a win of the election?
that they...
in August 2026.
I'll wait until they ask me. That will be between me and them.
But at the same time, it gets back to our earlier conversation.
Are you asking me on their behalf?
Because
have they sent you to ask me?
Because you have mentioned that you also want to use this particular platform as a way of engaging with them. You say this is one of the mediums, the medium you use to engage with them. So this is an opportunity. They are listening, and it would be good for you to engage them.
How do you know they are listening?
We know they watch this program. They watch this program.
Hi, baby.
so through this platform, which you gladly would love to use as a platform. To engage
is like any relationship. It's always a two-way process. I'm not going to engage with a phantom. If they call me on the phone, we'll engage on the phone. If they call me in person, we engage in the person. The main thing is that I am not unwilling to answer any call or there is no engagement they'll ask for me, which I have already made a position not to engage in.
So you mentioned you were called to give counsel to some political parties.
Who asked for it.
But looking at where we are at now as a country, do you see the different political parties that are not in government? I'm trying to stick to your phrase of avoiding opposition, the term opposition. The political parties outside government, do you realistically see them uniting under the current circumstances?
The different political parties that are not in government, obviously people don't form parties except if they think they are unique. So they have their own differences. Some may agree on some things and disagree on others. So I do not believe, I don't have the delusion that all political parties that are not in ruling party have the same opinion or the same objective, the same motivation, they want the same changes. No, I'm sure they want different changes, but some of them may want the same change, at least in the short term.
I'm just trying to go to a picture that you wore. It says Fourth Republic. What is that about?
The Fourth Republic. When we ushered in independence in 1964, we had a constitution which came from the British Parliament in July 1964. That became Zambia's first constitution. It set up the first government regime under a constitution. That constitution was the first constitution. It was changed when we imposed the one-party state. And when that change took place, we got a second Republican constitution. When we changed from a one-party state to a multi-party state in 1991, it was based on a constitutional change that was made in December 1990. That ushered in the third Republican Constitution. And I'm saying that all these constitutions have not been democratic enough. When the first Constitution provided for a multi-party democracy and recognition of the opposition and many other democratic characteristics. When we imposed the one-party state, we betrayed those promises and imposed the one-party state in which the Zambians' right to form or not form political parties of their choice was curtailed for 17 years. And when we said, let's revert back to a multi-party democracy, perhaps we compromised, perhaps we made a misjudgment. We agreed to first change just one clause in that constitution, in the one-party state constitution, which, by the way, from after 1972, later on, integrated the United National Independence Party constitution with the state constitution. So it was a conglomeration of a government system provided, which actually was appropriately named the party and its government. So, but unfortunately, with hindsight, at that time we thought we needed flexibility to move forward. We agreed to just change one clause. The rest of the constitution remained as a one-party state. So some of us who fought for the reintroduction of one party, had anticipated that after the change of government, we will proceed to completely reverse the characteristics of the one-party state and reset the characteristics of a multi-party state, which was in the original constitution. Beyond that, we thought that by 1990, the world had moved on in terms of human rights regimes. People are even talking about this, the third degree of human rights. So in addition to returning the country to where it was as a constitutional democracy before the one-party state, we anticipated that we will also take advantage of what we have learned, the better examples elsewhere, and even improve upon that. That basically has not taken place. That's why basically...
So this Fourth Republic, when do you want it to come?
I would have liked its content to have come in 1991.
Now that
I can't wait.
Until when?
I can't wait. If it came tomorrow, I'll be very happy.
Do you foresee it projecting it to happen on the 13th of August?
No.
But when?
Because the 13th of one of the changes we want to make that are needed, let me put it that way, logically from the problems we have had with failing to get an agreeable constitution to everybody, is the process of making the constitution, moving away from selective piecemeal adjustment, so that I anticipate that the day you have a government that seriously wants to reform, review, reconstruct the constitution in this direction, it will have to give it a lot more time than any of the other changes to the constitution have been given so far, in order to make sure that all the grievances we have heard each time the constitution was changed are addressed positively, accommodated, so that the end product will not be a carryover of the same complaints that we have had in the past.
We'd like to give an opportunity to give your last remarks. Obviously, maybe there are certain important questions that we felt to ask you in terms of this Council of Elders and what the people expect, because they've been keenly listening to what announcement comes from you.
Well, as I said, basically we held on the 16th of January. We had all along, when I was called to join this group, and we agreed that we needed to meet these groups that had been soliciting for counsel. We met many of them, not all of them, and then we agreed that it is necessary for us to meet these leaders who are willing to work together, to meet them in one meeting and establish what they want to do in terms of those. So on the 16th of August, we met, January I mean, with the political party leaders and civil society organization. And at that meeting, it was resolved that we should hold a national conference in which the issues we were raising, the issues which were being suggested, could be delved into deeper and towards concluding what is to be done. So a planning committee was set up, and that planning committee is working to plan that national conference. So we anticipate that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, there will be a national conference in which the political leaders who are willing to come together will discuss all these suggestions that have been put forward with more depth and more conclusively, in order to chart the way forward
Do you have a preferred candidate as a Council of Elders?
No, in fact, I'm against the idea of looking at an individual. I think that has been our major problem. I don't anticipate that there is a messianic individual. I believe in collective leadership, in team-spirited leadership. And in doing this, I'm following the footsteps of our fathers. When they founded Congress, I told you there are two slogans: one man, one vote, the importance of the vote. It was supposed to be the door opener, the key through which, given in the hands of Africans, would free us. The other slogan was leadership through team spirit. So I believe in that. I don't believe in looking for one particular individual.
Thank you so much for coming.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge and your perspective on national matters. I think